Hi, this is Lauren. You're listening to My Spiritual Awakening. I want to thank you for joining in with me tonight. Tonight I have two special guests, Ashley Cottrell and Matthew, I'm going to say your last name wrong, Micheletti.
No, that's correct.
Okay. And Ashley's owner of Yoga in Las Vegas, which just opened. Tonight, I wanted to bring them on and have them share their experiences with us as an awakened couple. I've only heard stories from their roommate, Joey Belovin, about how beautiful this couple is and all of the amazing experiences that they share together. So I thought that they would be perfect to come in tonight and kind of share everything with us. I want to thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you. We're
Thank
really
you.
excited. We're really nervous.
Okay, so to start off, I think it's very important that we share your story of how you two met.
Absolutely. So, this is not a typical love story, and I think, I really in the way it so I don't think this is something that just happens to everybody, and if you're looking to be in a relationship, you should be dreaming about this happening, because it really was really, really rare and weird. I was living, here in Las Vegas. He's living in Northern California, so we didn't know each other at all. But at the time, I had been kind of meditating and clarifying what I wanted in a relationship and what I wanted it to feel like and look like. And you were kind of doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, I had been doing a lot of writing and kind of just getting that into what I was looking for in my ultimate companion as I was getting ready to kind of find a more spiritual companion and wanting to settle down a little more. I think you should kind of tell the first part, because it really was you searching out. Initiated this whole process.
I was going through a process of finding out who I was and what I wanted. So at the time, I was looking up on the internet a yoga retreat that I wanted to go to in California, and I thought this would be a really healing experience for me, and I would probably meet a really good teacher, and so I looked up the White Lotus Foundation in Santa Barbara. And when I Google searched it, what I actually was directed to was a different website called the Liberated Lotus. And so I just clicked on it, and it ended up being Matthew's blog of spiritual writings. And when I started reading it, this was everything I had already been studying and what I was practicing in my own life. And I kind of became a little bit obsessed with the website, reading everything. This will be my teacher. Like, this is the person that I'm going to go visit. Maybe I'm not going to go to the White Lotus Foundation. And so I Googled his name, Matthew Micheletti. And when I Googled his name, these YouTube videos came up, and it was this handsome face. And he was lecturing and non-duality and the God within, like, all of us. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of fell in love with him from a distance. I added him on Facebook, but I didn't really think anything of it other than I wanted to just follow him. And when I added him, he kind of started to watch in my progress and what I was doing in my life, which was the same thing. I was writing on a blog, I was doing yoga, I was practicing these things and teaching these things as well through my yoga.
Right, so at that point, kind of like she said, like I was used to, that would kind of happen every once in a while, and people would find me, because I had...
The girls would find you.
Not necessarily. People would find me through my blog, and then, they'd want to be in contact, because I was, trying to make that available. I want community. And then Ashley came along, and I just kind of was like, who is this, And again, I was actively, like, putting that out there. Even writing about how to manifest your companion. You know, like I had just finished a couple of posts on that topic of being the already being there. You know, like, you know, some little cute things I would do is to kind of give an example of how this process would work is like at night, you know, I act as if she's there, and I would say like good night to her. You know, like maybe in my head, maybe out loud, really matter, because what I was really getting at is where, and I was, you know, communicating to her every day, you know, through prayer, through cute little things like that, like acting like she's already there, rolling over at night and being like, I love you, good night.
And really just, you're embracing that energy of I accept this.
Yeah, like I accept that she's out, accept that it wasn't possible. Mm-hmm. And I knew that whatever this idea was of this companion that I was ready and waiting for, I knew that she was out there. And, but I didn't know how or why or when, and, you know, all the details of how it was going to happen. But Ashley came along, and then we kind of just watched each other, and I noticed Annie, like, the way she speaks, the things she's into, like, it's as if it's myself. Like, mm-hmm. you know, the way we write is as if it's like I used to tell her, you know, eventually I reached out to her and I said, like, it's like I'm reading my own journal sometimes, like, based on things she says, realizations that she's having. And I just was like, I literally could pull up my journal entry and show you that this is almost identical language that you use for how you're communicating your experiences. So right away, it, like, really caught my eye. And I was like, wow, this is a really special soul. And nevertheless, you know, I know you have your own life and your own situation going on, but you just are an amazing soul, and I have to say something.
You called me a goddess.
Okay.
And of course, that, boys, listen, that works. So then I think we started to rate each other, but we were not just rating. The first time Matthew wrote me, he said, why do you think we're on this planet? That was his first question to me that he wrote me through a message. He didn't say, hi, my name is Matthew. He just said, like, I've noticed you, and why do you think we're on this planet? So that, of course, opened a can of continuing conversation back and forth of our belief systems or our not belief systems or evolution or what we were here to do and what we wanted and what we think we were capable of. And it just, that ended up turning into really exposure of your inner self, because this is a person you've never met before. And so it's almost as if there's you could just like be really vulnerable and expose it all, because you're never going to see them, you're never going to, you know, have to meet them, and you could just say what you want to say and get it out. So it was almost like we had no restrictions. We really just shared our deepest place ourselves with each other through those communications.
Letters, yeah.
And it ended up turning into, I think, love writing and poetry, and it turned into romance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, at a point where I'm searching for clearly, like, you know, I had realized in my own heart that I wanted more, and I needed to have a deep spiritual connection with my partner, else it just wasn't satisfying. And you know, just I learned that the hard way through my own experience again and again of just something always missing. And you know, it's right away say, you know, wanted to find out, where are you in your spiritual evolution? So I just asked her like these deep spiritual questions, because I wanted to find out, like, right away, who is this person? And she was open to it and willing to, like she said, start being vulnerable and sharing, you know, about, you know, why are we here, getting into concepts of divinity and love and what, and then I think the natural tendency was, well, what do we think love should be? and what should a relationship be. So starting with that spiritual basis, and then after that, we started to realize, well, what do you think a spiritual companionship would look like? And that's kind of how the romance writing started, because we think what we think it should be, what it would like, how it would speak, you know, like how these people would speak to each other. And then before we knew it, we really realized, like, we are that to each other. We are each other's companion that we are searching for.
So we said, let's meet.
Yep.
And so I drove to Santa Barbara, and we got on a plane, Northern California to Santa Barbara, which is ironically where that place I was originally looking for was. And we already knew at this time, before meeting in person, that, you know, this was something really special. So drove to the airport, and I got out of the car, and I waited for him, and we ran to each other, and he picked me up, and we kissed for the first time and said, "You're real." Oh, we were touching each other's face. We couldn't believe that this being really existed and was a real person. And we kissed that moment right when we met, and said, "I love you," in that moment. And that was it. The rest is history. He moved to Las Vegas a week later, and we got a house together, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to clarify that.
No.
I mean, ultimately, yes, that's what happened. But there was definitely, like, I came out to visit, and then it was like, okay, I feel myself here.
A week later, but
yeah,
we'll probably get into it with the other topics, but basically. Yeah,
and I guess in a nutshell,
that's.
I love taking leaps of faith. It's what I think, in a lot of ways, I live for. It's what makes life very adventurous and exciting. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I had my fair share of leaps of faith, but so this was another, like, okay, like, divine life, you know, whatever we would call it. Like, I trust that this experience is what I need now, and this is what's next for me. And so I just jumped and left everything, made all the provisions necessary, and was like, okay, I'll move out there and we'll do this. And she, being the lovely homemaker and, like, feminine, nurturing energy that she is, was like, okay, I'll provide us a home. Like, I have a home ready. Just bring everything. Like, you show me the faith and the action and actually do it. Because, you know, like, a lot of romantics that definitely her and I have come across and, been exposed to, it's a lot of talk, but, like, are you actually going to do this? You know, like, oh, Juliet, I will leave the world for you, you know, like this kind of thing. And I was like, I will leave everything to be with you. You know, like, for her, same thing, like, wow, like, he's really going to do this. And I remember her being a little shocked at first, like, okay, yeah, like, he's really going to come out here. Wow. And like we said, like, it was that fast. Within a couple weeks, poof, like, here I was, and I had all my stuff, and I was like, all right, I told you I would come here. Let's do this. And what are we gonna do for this? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah. It's gonna work out. Everything's gonna work out.
And it did.
And it did. It totally did. And just pure blind faith, pure trust. And it's really cool to get to tell people that, because, like I said, like, I love taking leaps of faith, and every chance I can to tell people is jump and you will get caught every time. And my life has proven that so many times over, and this is, like, the grandest, taught me, or life has guided me to exactly what I needed, because it's really, like, irrefutable. It's
something we like amazing to say is people say no and they don't know what they're saying no to.
Yeah.
So what happens? What we find is when we say it's always amazing, and we're always so glad that we did say yes.
Yeah.
So
behind that fear is so much glorious happiness and love that we couldn't even imagine.
Wow. So what do you guys think your greatest strengths are and weaknesses?
As a couple, I think our greatest strength is that...
Those three. Let's go through those.
Okay.
Ideas. Yeah. I
well,
think that'd be...
Was it a strength?
Go ahead.
Okay. Greatest strength is that and I think Matthew will want to get into this in a bit, is that we've committed as a couple to never stop in our evolution, meaning that we're constantly looking as individuals and what we're bringing to the relationship, rather than blaming the external environment or the relationship itself. We're constantly looking within and communicating that with each other, and I think that is our biggest strength as a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the biggest things is always taking accountability. Definitely one of our strengths is we came into our relationship having already learned this lesson and really clarified it through our own individual spiritual study, and realizing that our perception of reality is what grants and creates our experience. So no matter what your situation is, you are always in the control of how you perceive it. And your ability to perceive your experience and your reality is what creates your happiness or your success. So for us, we both already knew that. And so obviously in a relationship, one of the really common problems is we very quickly want to blame the other person because it's very easy to do that. And so for me, like, I came from a psychology background, so I'm obsessed. I love studying this stuff, and I had been in programs where I was always thinking about this, and Ashley just is brilliant and had already been pondering these on her own. And so for us to come together, we really both kind of during those letters to each other in the beginning, we had already clarified this, and we said our happiness is not the other person. Our happiness is completely internal, and it's not the other person's fault, nor is it their responsibility.
We just agree to share an experience together.
We agree to share love. We agree to share happiness.
But it's not your responsibility to make me happy.
Yes. And so because of that, there's obviously this really powerful accountability to ourselves. Our common thing now is even when because you're still going to go through, this isn't, it's not like all of a sudden life is butterflies and fairies,
No.
There's certainly going to be, like I said, you can still be in very, and but how you perceive that is what gives it the power, So if you see it as actually a better thing, making you stronger, or somehow bettering your life, suddenly it's not so bad. And so for us, if anything ever comes up, we see it as making us closer, rather than, oh, this is your fault. I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm going to go keep looking for someone else.
As an opportunity to evolve as a couple and strengthen our love and our relationship, because what are we capable of? This is a challenge, and we're strong enough to see it through. So anything that does happen in the external world, we kind of view it as like a game. Like if you're playing a video game and we're like, oh, we made it all the way to level 6 and now we have to fight
this boss is
so hard. And so we could just be like, psh, it's your boss game. You go fight him. I don't want to do that right now. But instead we're going in and we go in together, and we use it as an opportunity to strengthen our relationship, all the while knowing that we're agreeing to this as a couple, and all the while knowing that our internal state of mind is creating this perception. It's not actually the external challenge. It's not the boss man. It's my perception of the boss man. So.
Yeah, totally. That it all comes back to that accountability. Is no matter how hard it gets, we're always accepting that. Well, where's your happiness going? What's going on? And then there's times when what I was going to get at earlier is we definitely will joke around and be like, oh, I'm so frustrated at the situation. It's never I'm so frustrated at you. It's always wow, this is really challenging right now.
And I have something to work on.
Yeah, and I've told her so many times, I'm just mad right now because this situation is.
And I have
am working on it, but I love you, and I like, it's never personal. It's just we keep it very honest with where it belongs, which is it's internal.
And then we can help each other.
And then exactly. And then instead of fighting each other,
we can help each other get through it. Like, why are you feeling afraid? Why are you feeling anger? And we can help each other, and we can work through it.
Absolutely.
Rather than,
which then strengthens the couple, because we're not fighting each other. We're actually saying life's hard right now and it's challenging.
We're gonna beat the boss man.
And I'm going through something because this obstacle is testing me, and it's like, okay, well, that you're going through something, but I'm gonna go ahead and help you. Like, I want to help you get through this. And what's been so beautiful is the majority of the time we go through themes or obstacles that have similar concepts behind them. Let's say forgiving someone. We go through them often very simultaneously. Maybe she dealt with a situation like 2 days before where she had to forgive someone, and then 2 days later I go through my own experience in my own life where I have to learn that same lesson, and she'll happen to be like, yeah, remember when I did that with so and so, like this is like, it's hard, and I know, and we and advice, but all the while knowing we still have to do the work ourselves. But it's really cool because it strengthens us to know that we have a companion who is there to help and never takes it personal and like gets mad at each other. Like, why don't you know this already? Like, come on. Personal.
So simultaneously, I think our weakness then would be working on that. Like, wanting to run away from the boss man, like when moving them has its own challenges, right? Like, it wasn't all like butterflies. Yeah. So we had to get to know each other while we were living together. So there was so many challenges that have arisen, and so simultaneously it's our biggest strength, but it's also our greatest weakness because we're constantly working on this. I mean, like, we talk about stuff like this every single day. We're constantly working, and sometimes you do want to run away from, Oh,
yes, I see what you're getting at, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to give up, and you do want to run away because it is really hard, and you do want to throw in the towel, or you do want to... Life with you is really so... I want to go choose a life that's easier or whatever it is. So simultaneously, that is our weakness.
Yeah, in that life is hard with you because you hold me accountable.
Yeah.
and for me, like, I definitely can a lot of, I don't know, credit's the right word because it's not necessarily a good thing, but I definitely can accept that that's definitely one of my biggest weaknesses is I tell her all the time that
she just wants to go surfing.
I'm just like, I just want to go play. I want to go surf. We're just on a different pace. Like, I want to go slower. And I've never been challenged either. And so that's the thing is, I want her to just think I'm perfect. And like, why are you challenging me? Why are you holding up the mirror? And reminding me that this is still something I need to work on. And so that's, I totally understand, like, when you're saying that, like, it's so true. Like, it's a strength, but it's also one of our weak because, we're not able to just be blind, because it's like I told her in the very beginning. I said, I can never leave you because I will always know, that you'll see right through me, and so I'll always have to live with that. I mean, it's not a reason to never leave, but it's definitely like something that me realize. She's a for me. And what I mean by that is my issues, she reflects back perfectly by simply looking at me and being like, yeah, I see that you're working on that. And I have to be like, yes, I am. And I want to run from it so bad. And I do want to just go play. I don't want to talk about this.
But
I don't want to deal with it. Someone else knows, and now I'm accountable. And so it's a weakness because it can also be frustrating. it's hard to deal with your demons. You know, it's hard to deal with things that are unloving in our past, or things that we don't love ourselves about, because that's ultimately what it is. You're running from, why don't I love myself? Why do I have these issues? Why do I not treat myself right? Because that's what it's all about. I mean, really.
In this relationship for yourself.
I mean, I'll start while you ponder that for a minute. Just off the top of my head, what immediately comes to me again is it's that accountability. Because also the attachment is something that is something we think about.
Do you mean attachment with the other person?
This is definitely something you have a lot more wisdom on, because I tend to be more detached.
Okay.
So how do you
my
deal with
weakness
detachment?
and problem is the detachment part, because I do want to just go run and play, whereas she's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
So I think definitely you have some wisdom on this.
Ladies, we have an issue. We to the men, and I think that I can say that from experience of doing this myself in the past and having to work through this with Matthew, and not mastering it, just working with it, and from having of being attached to the guy, and the guy not caring or being so lackadaisical, you know, and the girl cares so much. So what I have to say to that is that the first thing we said was that we realize that we are the source of our own. For a second, of your partners, you will every single time be let down.
Yeah, always.
Every single time.
Always.
And actually, the irony that happens when you believe that your happiness is your own self-worth is, ironically, your guy is so much more attracted to you, right? Like, the irony of that happens is you actually end up creating what you wanted the whole time. Wow. So, what I have to